Good morning, 11th graders and class of 2022. Today is ICAP lesson day. Yay! Super exciting. Today is March 4th, 2021. All right, here we go. This is a revisit lesson from January, but it's pertinent to what you need to know right now and what you need to have done. Big hint, what you need to have done in your 11th grade quarter 3 ICAP questions, as well as preparing for your next steps. All right, for this ICAP lesson, it's not just a sit and get. You're going to need your computer or your phone, but really a computer will be a little easier. You're going to need to log into your computer and access a couple of apps while we're doing this. So go ahead and get your computer up if you're not listening to this on a computer, or at least make time to do this on a computer. Okay, ready? Here we go. All right, today we're going to talk about your goals. What are your goals for after high school? We've talked about this a little before, so don't tune out because I'm going to move through it faster this time since you've heard it once, but this stuff's really important. Talking about your goals, what are your goals for after high school and moving into your life? What's your path? How can you move towards those goals? How do you prepare to be on that path and moving towards those goals? Part of that preparation is taking the SAT in just over a month, about 6 weeks from now. Doing your essay or personal statement for your college applications or scholarship applications for next year. You're starting that now. Yep, we're starting that now. And research on colleges. And then second to last, it's going to be getting into our app, our tool called Maya. And then, of course, the last thing we'll talk about real quick, and the ever popular and always important ICAP questions. Yay! All right, check it out on the screen, guys. Look at the top of each column. Each column's heading is a potential post-secondary or after high school pathway. So let's look on the left there in the blue. Is your post-secondary pathway involving getting a bachelor's degree or higher? For example, are you looking to certainly be a doctor, be a registered nurse, be a teacher, be an administrator in any field at all? Possibly running your business. A lot of different things are going to require a bachelor's degree or higher. If that is your goal, look down that column in that blue column. And what you need to do first is you need to be going on the internet and researching four-year colleges, public and private colleges, and the majors that are in them. For instance, if you're thinking you want to go into the medical field and you might want to stay in Colorado, maybe go to Colorado State University or CU Boulder, jump on their websites. What are their majors in that field? And then what you'll need to do for that, one of the things you're going to need to have for that is a personal statement. And you're going to have to draft some essays for next year when you're applying. So as you can see for both the blue column, getting a bachelor's degree or higher, and then in the green column next to it, getting an associate's degree, both of those are going to require you to have a personal statement. And that is what we're doing today in Maya. Now, if your interest for post-secondary is either the purple column or the kind of tannish yellow column on the middle and right, which is military service or going straight into the workforce, you may not need a personal statement or an essay to do those. But reminding you, personal statement is an ICAP requirement for this year, and it's going to be for your graduation. So you still need to start drafting a personal statement. All right, so take a moment or take a screenshot or come back to these slides later and look down those columns. It talks about what you need to do to prepare now for what you're thinking you want to do after high school. Let's go to the far right column, move straight into the workforce as part of your career path. What I want you to do is discuss this with a counselor, family members, and definitely a counselor. Same with the military. In fact, really, we want you to talk to us about any of your intended post-secondary pathways that are listed here. But as you can see, the first box in each of those after the heading, in the first couple, it requires you researching first. Second, the third and fourth column, military and workforce, want you to start by talking to your counselor and your family, um, to share ideas. And then from there, you will do some research. But we want to have that discussion with you just to make sure that you know what your next steps are and what's the best way to prepare. Looking further down, the third row in each of those columns talks about the next steps. You need to maybe create a resume. Do you need to draft a personal statement? Do you need to search the internet for a recruiting office nearby? Fourth row is involving your next step after that. Are you going to need to take the SAT? So studying for that and preparing for that. Are you going to need to take the ASVAB? Researching what the ASVAB is. And again, meet with me, Ms. Wickers, on that one because I am the military liaison for you guys. I'm not a recruiter. I'm just the one that can connect you with people, give you names, and have those discussions about, okay, if this is the pathway you want to be on for the military, what are you going to need to expect and do? So please look down, take some time to look in this slide. We won't stay on it much longer. But that fourth row in all of your columns, whether it says SAT or not, because whether you need the SAT to take that particular post-secondary pathway, remember after high school pathway, you may not need the SAT for some of those, but you're still going to be taking the SAT in April, on April 13th. So please be preparing for that now. Like we said in January, that's why I told you then, you need to still be preparing for that and keeping that in the forefront of your mind. All right, we're going to jump back to essay prompts. If you are going to be going to a college after high school, whether it's right away or later, you will be having to write some essays, at least a personal statement and very likely an essay. These are examples of the essay prompts that colleges will offer for you to take, and they'll want you to choose from one. Now, these are this year's essay prompts for students going into college in the fall of 2021. They'll change slightly each year, but they're usually pretty similar. So take a moment and look at these. And then these are the things you want to start thinking about how you would answer them. And your essay needs to be a minimum of the standard 5-paragraph essay. And it can be longer, but you need to be able to draft a good 5-paragraph essay in answer to any of these prompts for your college applications next year. All right, let's now jump to the SAT. It's going to be Tuesday, April 13th at the school, which is that date is called the National School Test Day. So most high schools in the country will be offering the test that day in their home school for free for their students. If you're unhappy with your score that you see from that, which we will eventually get, you can also log into College Board, which is down there on the bottom, the website, collegeboard.org. They're the company that makes the SAT. Within a week or two afterwards, you can log in there, contact somebody, get into your account, and see what your scores are. The school will receive your scores much, much later, and unfortunately, it's very delayed when we get your scores. When you are registering for the SAT, which will occur either on the day of the test or slightly before it, be sure to have your scores sent to your high school and to the colleges that if you have already decided which colleges you want to send them to. You have a choice of sending them to up to four colleges. So be considering right now, which colleges you want your SAT scores to be sent to. And again, if you're unhappy with your score from the test in April, you can register for taking it again as many times as you want. Really, there's a limit of about 3 that seem to be useful. So I wouldn't take it too many more times. And there's test dates in February and right now in March and April, moving on through June. And then they usually resume in August or September. So there is some time in the summer where you cannot retake the SAT. Please be thinking about that now. If you retake it to improve your scores, what are you going to do to improve your scores? You need to look at what you got scores low in. Was it math or was it the English/writing section? And be working on that afterwards. It'd be better to work on it right now. Get the help that you know you need now. There will be a cost if you retake it, whereas the first day you take it in school is free. And if you have a certain level of financial need, you can qualify for a fee waiver. So basically, you're going to take the SAT on April 13th. Please be preparing now, making sure you understand your course material. You can do math tests pretty quickly. You can write and read pretty quickly and understand how to interpret a little passage of a statement and then answer questions about it. And then if you're not happy with your score, you can register. You can go onto collegeboard.org and register to take it on another time. It will not be at MLK. It'll be at some other location when you take it, and it will usually be on a Saturday. And then if you do think you qualify for a fee waiver to take the SAT again, like you cannot pay that cost, please talk to your counselor. We have access to those. We have to make sure that you qualify. All right, this grid, I'm just going to touch on it. It's called the index. It's called the Higher Education or CCHE Index. If you look across the top, SAT scores and ACT scores. Now, to be considered college ready, you need around in the upper 400s to 500 for a score for both the math side and the English side. So that would put you at a cumulative or total SAT score of around 1,000. So I'm going to circle right now on the screen. That would put you right in this range if you wanted to prove that you are college ready. That will also satisfy one of your graduation requirements. By being college ready on the SAT, that will satisfy one of your graduation requirements to show competency in English and or math. So let's say you got in this range of scores between 970 and 1,000. So you're in the college ready range. And you look down here at colleges that are in Colorado. These aren't all of them, but these are some of them. Look at their scores in this last column. Now, this is a while back, but this is just an example. So if you wanted to go to Metro, you need an index score of 76. So let's go back up here. If you were in the college ready range of SAT at 970 to 1,000, and you wanted to get a score of at least 76 on the index, you come right down here. And so what does that mean for your GPA? So go across. Whoops, sorry guys. So college ready range on SAT, 76 for getting, at least being eligible to get into Metro. It doesn't mean you're going to get accepted. It just means you are at least meeting the minimum requirement. Let's go across and see what that means for a GPA. You'd have to have at least a GPA of 1.9, which is, pretty flexible. The higher your GPA, the lower your test scores have to be to get you in that number range, that what we call the index for a certain college. Let's jump over and do another example. Colorado State University. If you wanted to go to Colorado State University, you'd need to have an index score in the 101 area. So let's say you're in the college ready range for SAT and you needed an index score of at least 101 and possibly higher because they said like it's a minimum. Come down here to 101, go across. What would your GPA need to be? You need to be a minimum of a 3.3 to be even considered for CSU, Fort Collins. Now, this SAT scale is on the 4-point scale. It is not, that is an unweighted GPA. So your unweighted GPA would need to be at least 3.3 or higher if you are college ready on your SAT to be eligible to get in to Colorado State University. It doesn't mean you're going to be an automatic, and it just means at least they won't set your application aside automatically. So please just be aware. You don't need to use this grid, but it's a good idea. It's a guideline. Colleges don't use this as admissions requirements. They do not. But it's a good guideline for you to kind of know where you stand and where, if you need to change something, do you need to retake the SAT and change your score? Do you need to get your GPA up really soon? So it gives you a guideline. Now, before we leave, listen to this, kids. Sorry, students. Your transcripts, when you apply to colleges in a few months from now, when you come back, you need to have already researched those colleges and or other things that you need to apply to. So you need to be doing that research now, and you need to be doing it over the summer. Then when you start applying, at that point, when we send your transcripts, your transcripts are going to show everything up through the end of 11th grade. So that's going to be this quarter 3 and next quarter 4. So if you are not happy, like I'm circling over here with this, your GPA, your unweighted GPA, then you need to be working hard on raising your grades. Also, you need to be preparing well to do well on the SAT, because the higher your SAT score is, the lower the pressure is on your GPA for admissions into a particular college. However, keep both as high as you possibly can and consider retaking the SAT if your score is not at least college ready. One thing I can tell you is that if you want to get financial aid from a college and scholarships, your SAT score composite, that means both the whole total score, needs to be between 1160 and 1200 or higher. So this is the range you need to be shooting for if you're hoping to get good financial aid to pay for college, to help pay for college. So please don't shoot for just the college ready level. You really need to be shooting up here or higher if you're wanting to get some decent financial aid to help pay for college. Okay. All right, right now I want you to log into Student Portal. And then when you're in Student Portal, I want you to click on this box up here, this little words that says See All Apps. Then on the next screen, once you do that, I want you to click on Schoology. I'm sorry, what this really should say, let's go back. This should say Maya Learning. I'm sorry, this slide is wrong. I apologize. Click on where I'm circling right here, Maya Learning. So just like the slide says Maya Learning, I apologize, this slide is wrong. Once you're in the app called Maya, we just call it Maya. It's Maya Learning. This is something you're going to be using more and more, and especially in your senior year, you're going to be in this a lot, because this is where you're going to put all of your college information. This is where you're going to request letters of recommendation next year. All right, so once you're in Maya, look down this menu tab on the left and click on Portfolio. Once you're in that, click on Add Journal, as these instructions say. Click on Add Journal, or Journals, and then click on Add Journal. I'm sorry, it's a little bit confusing. I apologize. Click on Journals and then Add Journal. I apologize. There's some slight errors in these. So basically, you're going to go into Portfolio. You're going to click on Journals, and then you're going to click on Add Journal. This is where you're going to start your draft of a personal statement. And if you recall back on this slide, you're going to absolutely need a personal statement for these first 2 columns, but you still need it for all of them right now because it's an ICAP requirement. So go ahead and make sure you're doing this. Get into Maya through Student Portal, and then in Maya you go to Portfolios, go to Journal, Add Journal, and this is where I want you to start drafting a personal statement. Basically, in your personal statement, what you need to address is what are some challenges that you faced in your life, when a particular challenge or several, and how you faced that. Use proper grammar, use proper capitalization like you've been taught, use proper punctuation. At least start the draft of this personal statement, and it will be in there for you for next year when you need it. This is an absolute requirement, guys. So I know you may not do it right during this recording, but you've got to do it. If you haven't done it already, you've got to do it today, because we're coming to the end of quarter 3, and on Friday I will be running the ICAP report and giving that information to your SEL advisement teachers, and any questions you have not answered are going to bring your ICAP grade down as part of your advisement grade. So please be doing everything we're talking about in these lessons now. All right, jumping back into Student Portal. We're going to go now. What we're doing is you need to do your personal statement, but we're wrapping up this lesson. So go back to Student Portal, click on your My ICAP plan on this menu across the top. And actually, before we go there, I want to show you something. Hold on. If you were wondering about your GPA, it's over here on this part of Student Portal, and you can click on weighted or unweighted. What you want to look at is your unweighted, because that's what colleges are going to do. They're going to strip out any weighting that's been added by honors classes of any kind, and they're going to look at it strictly on a 4-point scale, which is the unweighted. So you need to change this to weighted and see what your weighted GPA is. And then, pardon me, I'm going to go back. you're going to use that unweighted GPA on this grid. And you can get an idea of like what your unweighted GPA is. That weighted GPA was around a 2.8. Unweighted is probably around a 2.5. So you'd want to go here, come across to see what it would take to get into CSU Fort Collins, which would be in this range of index score. Because remember, CSU Fort Collins is 101. So at a 2.5 GPA unweighted, you got to come over here to see in that range. You'd need an SAT composite score between 1200 and 1240 just to be considered eligible. And you can all do that. Every one of you is capable of that. You just have to work hard. And that's why I'm pushing preparing for the SAT now and working on your GPA now. You've got a little tiny bit of time left and you can do it. All right, we're going to come back to the last part. Go back in Student Portal. Click on your My ICAP Plan menu tab. And you're going to answer, actually this says Q3 question. It's really super simple. It's right here and it's about your personal statement. It's basically saying what would you want colleges or anybody to know about you from your personal statement. And that's what the mindset you need to have when you're doing that personal statement is what do you want them to know about you? Everybody's had hardships. Everybody's had to deal with stuff. Everybody, trust me, your peers, your teachers, all of us, everybody in the world. What you're trying to do with your personal statement is to tell colleges and scholarships and anybody else really that's going to read this, how are you? What makes you you? What strengths did you bring into your life, into that particular difficult situation that made it feasible for you to be successful and move forward from that? And that's what you want to have in your personal statement. Okay, so the lesson's about done. A lot of this is going to require you going back into Maya, going back into Student Portal, doing your personal statement in Maya. Remember, log into Student Portal, click on See All Apps, and then go into Maya Learning, and then do your personal statement. And then it's also going to require you doing your ICAP questions through Student Portal as well. If you want a copy of these slides separately, or you want to talk to me about that admissions grid, please reach out to either Mr. Legg or myself. Again, it's Miss Wickers. We're your counselors, and we are always, always here to help you. We will meet you wherever you need us to meet you as far as answering questions and giving you support. All right, you guys, that's the end of it. Have a great day. Please reach out to us with any questions. Take care. Bye-bye.